Cuddle your kitties and give your dog a bone. It's an animal-themed episode today as we welcome back mediums Monica Lira and Cindy Huff. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic episode of the Cincinnati Cabinet of Curiosities Presents the Hometown Haunts podcast. I am your host, Kat Loco, and along with me in the shadows are Christina Walden, Jen Kohler. They'll be joining us in just a little bit. You can follow us on a bevy of social media at Cin Cabinet Curio on Twitter, at Cincy Cabinet of Curiosities on Instagram. You can join our Facebook group, Hometown Haunts, where we chat all about the fringe history, spooky stories, and whatever have you, like the UFO sightings a few weeks ago, there for the Cincinnati region. Also, we're dying to hear your own hometown haunts, so you can email those to hometownhauntedmail@gmail.com. We're looking for everything: UFO stories, your own personal ghost stories, urban legends. I love to hear it, Christina loves to hear it, and so does Jen. So please send those in. We're an official podcast that can be heard wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to see us while we're doing the show, like right now, you can watch the video feed on YouTube. Find us by searching Cincinnati Cabinet of Curiosities, and please rate and review us on all the different platforms so spooky history lovers just like yourself can find us. Some show notes. Thank you to everyone that has submitted stories for this year's Cincinnati Cabinet of Curiosities anthology. This will be our third year. We're all very excited, and we look forward to announcing the artists a little bit later. We also want to take a minute to send our support to the people of Ukraine and those who live in Kharkiv, our sister city. Cincinnati and Kharkiv are sister cities. Please write your representatives and senators to allow refugees into the country to assuage the humanitarian crisis. Also, there are many animal companions that are in need. So if you would like to help them out, you can always donate some funds over to the Humane Society International, which is HIS.org, UA Animals, which we'll put the links, of course, in our show notes, the International Fund for Animal Welfare. And then also here in the tri-state area, we have some local rescues because there's always dogs, cats, rabbits, guinea pigs, and birds, just to name a few, that all need loving homes. So you can look at Hart Rescue at rescueheart.org, the Ohio Alley Cat Rescue, OAR, and that looks like all of our donations for now, or rescues. But there are a lot, and there are always animals that need homes. I particularly have a soft spot for Ohio Alley Cat Rescue because they will find new homes for cats that have been found on the streets. Plus, my neighbors work with them and volunteer a lot of time. There's a lot of snuggly kitty cats and fluffy dogs that would like some forever homes. So, with that said, we want to welcome back our friends Monica Lira and Cindy Huff, who are wonderful mediums that speak to the animals. Cindy and Terri run animal communications and wellness services, and we'll have that link in the show notes as well. And you can find them on Facebook as well. Cindy is a healing is hmm, Cindy is a healing touch for animals, an HTA practitioner, and has training in canine and equine massage. Terri is also an HTA practitioner and has additional training as a medical intuitive. She's also trained is also a trained Alexander teacher and applies her training to animals as well as humans. They also do psychic readings. You can find them. We'll put the information in the show notes because it's very long, but Monica also does readings over phone or email. You can contact her at lirastudios@gmail.com. So, welcome back to the show, ladies. Welcome back, Cindy and Monica. Our listeners have a bunch of questions about their furry friends. So, before we get into that, how are you two doing?
Not too bad. It's that time of year. Spring is sprung and people are coming and going on the earthly plane.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's tough. I have to relate that I was in the office and I volunteer in an office 3 days a week. And we used to have a cat that lived on the street that the office is on.
Mm-hmm.
Now the cat claimed our office as her turf. And one day decided to go in the open door that somebody had just opened and walked through, and made herself at home. And that's the way it was for the next year or so. Otherwise, we'd never had a cat in there at all. And then we had a boss who's concerned about others, allergies and such. And so we had to limit the cat's time indoors, and we had to make sure the place was clean, so in case anybody was allergic. And the cat got sick, and the owner didn't notice it, and we did. And she didn't last long. She passed over Christmas. Oh. And I said, well, I know she'll be back, because, she loved us and she loved the office. And don't you know, last week I was talking to my friend about something or other, and I kept seeing out of the corner of my eye something blitzing back and forth in front of the radiator. I said, did you see that? She said, what? I just saw something brown. And it wasn't a full-on brown. It was like just a little piece of about like this big, boom, boom, back and forth and up and down. And she said, oh my God, what do you think it is? And we both looked at each other and said, it's Minnie, the cat. And the minute I said that, it never happened. It stopped.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
But, just wanted the acknowledgement.
Just the acknowledgement was enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important, I think, that when they do pass, and when animals pass, just like when people pass, because Monica and I talk to dead people too. It's like, that's how we met, I think. But you're still, the connection is still there. And I think that's something that is really important for people to understand. The animals, I think, Monica, usually do. They understand that if they leave the body's a container, albeit one that we're all very attached to, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I love the way my horse smells. It sounds weird, but horses have just Monica, I think, would understand. They're just like, they have this really neat smell.
Parrots do too.
Please? Sorry?
Parrots do as well.
You'll have to show me that next time I come to your house. I've not smelled one of your birds, Monica.
Yeah, I'm a parrot.
I'll smell your birds, and you can come out and smell the horse. There you go.
All right, that sounds like an excursion. So, Kat, didn't you have a question about Mickey?
I did, but Mickey has left the room. She was just like,
anyway.
Nope.
We can do it anyway.
It's just so she was in here earlier. Now we got McWhiney Pants puppy, and which is why I'm muted most of the time, and Chewy. So I was just curious about what she was thinking, how she's doing, because now that she's gone deaf, she doesn't really communicate with us very much anymore. And I'm hoping she's doing okay. And then also, we've had a very hard fall. We lost one of our dogs and then a rabbit. So she lost her companions for over a decade. Mm-hmm. And I just hope she's doing okay. So if you can tune into her, that'd be great. If not, that's fine. I know we have a lot of listeners who have sent in their pet pictures as well.
Pat, I'm getting a picture of a paw. And I think the thing to communication is touch. A lot of it is touch. And with a deaf dog like her, she's part of the family for so long, touch is an important part of her being even more now. So I see paws, I see pad rubbing. This sensory back here, way back here, the big spot. And Chad won't let me touch his paws unless it's that little spot. And it's the softest spot. Everything else is kind of calloused, but there's that soft spot. And you can rub it and massage it. And then you can communicate that way. You can tell her, verbally or mentally, that you do love her, that you do care for her. And you show it by the strokes you give her, the hugs, the kisses, and that you're worried about her.
Oh, yeah.
And she probably would come back with, and you might get a picture of something that just might flash into your brain.
Yeah.
Because they communicate with pictures.
Yeah, she's my little cuddle bug. She's the only one that's not crated. She sleeps on her bed. So, and she's, yeah, you're right. She really has been much more cuddly since she's lost her hearing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's
Thank
something
you.
to be aware of, and maybe an extra treat. Not a lot of them, but you know.
No, she has a very dainty figure to upkeep. She's a former show dog, so she's the only one who loves being groomed. I bring out the brush and she's just like, yes. And she just stands. She's like, I am ready. Brush me. So yeah, the other two are like, oh man, no, I don't want to be brushed. I like laying in the
They
leaves and
leave the
having
room
crickets in
when they
my
see you
hair.
coming.
Yeah.
They
So
leave the room, yeah.
yeah. So oh, thank you. That's good insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cindy, do
So
you have anything to add to that?
Um, I think you're doing a really nice job. The feeling I have from the dog is that you're doing a really nice job of understanding that sound is no longer an open avenue of communication for her.
mhm.
And it may, Monica, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to I kind of butted out of the conversation since you were going.
Oh.
But a thing that would be interesting to ask is whether it's the full range of hearing that she's lost or just a certain part of the range.
Mhm.
Okay. The other thing that I think would be really interesting is vibration becomes a lot more important. So especially as the dog ages.
Mhm.
So, doing things like if you're going to approach the dog's, laying down, you're going to approach, walk heavy.
Mhm.
I mean, don't, I don't know if you have young kids in the house, they would have a ball with that, but,
Mhm.
just walk. So the dog picks up the vibration from the floor. So, because I know, Monica, I've had a couple of clients, I don't know if you have that, but their dogs have aged and they started getting older and they would walk up and touch the dog and the dog would swing.
Of course. But
Yeah.
what you do is you walk, they recognize your stride anyway.
Mhm.
They know who you are the moment you walk in. And even if they're not in the room. So, the thing to do with a deaf animal, I think, is to just tap the floor or
Mhm.
pat the floor,
Mhm.
and they'll feel the vibration and
Yeah.
react to that. And then you
Yep.
can approach them.
Then you can
Mhm.
touch. Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's how, unfortunately, how some older dogs end up being, in air quotes, biters towards the end of their life because people don't think about that. And especially if you have young children in the house, how do you explain to them that a
Mhm.
dog they've known for a long time,
Mhm.
suddenly they can't just run up and, rub on them and play and love on them
Mhm.
because, the dog gets startled. And so
Mhm.
one of the things that I've told people with children in the home
Mhm.
when this happens is to sit them down, and depending on the ages, you have to but basically just say, you know what, we have to warn whatever the dog's name is, we have to let him know we're coming from a longer way out.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like when, and if you, for a child, you can kind of say, it's like when you're really asleep, you're really, really hard asleep, and it takes a little while to wake you up, right? You wouldn't want somebody coming and just touching you
Mhm.
without saying something to you. Well, she can't hear you.
Mhm.
So how else can you let her know you're coming? And because older dogs start getting deaf. I mean, I had a dachshund that, God love her, she got deaf. She was deaf,
Mhm.
but when she was a lot older. And even with her, I would just kind of, what Monica was suggesting, create a vibration
Mhm.
and gently sit down next to her and make sure that the eyes were open all the way. Because the greyhound we have, you can have his eyes half open and the dog is sound asleep. So
Yeah.
older dogs sleep a lot more soundly. So, it's a managing thing, but it's sitting down talking to the children in the house and just making people aware.
Mhm.
You can manage it, but you just have to be careful.
Yeah.
The other thing I might add is that dogs have psychic abilities.
Mhm.
They have the ability to see spirit shadows. They know when you're coming home.
Mhm.
know your car's not in the driveway. They sense that.
Yes.
Or they'll hear your car coming from 2 miles off, and nobody can hear that, but they know your engine noise. Then,
Mhm.
so, if you're 2 miles from home or a mile from home and you figure that your dog is going to be sleeping, alert your dogs and
Mhm.
say to your kids, hey, let's send out a message to
Exactly.
the deaf dog. Let's say, we're coming home now.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
you want to meet us at the door? We're coming home and we'll be there in 2 minutes.
Mhm.
And let them all scream that. And the energy that puts out, I think
Mhm.
the dog feels that because they're
Mhm.
so bonded to you.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's a great idea, Monica.
it is a good idea. Mhm. All right. Well, thank you. That's a lot of good input,
Yeah.
especially
You're
with
welcome.
the kids, because I got a 3-year-old and he's loud. But what we've done is taught him to approach the dogs facing them instead of from behind.
Right.
So, and then usually he's carrying a treat. So,
That's smart.
kind of, yeah, it's
So
just
you're invoking smell then as
yeah,
well, which is
because
really good.
her smell is impeccable. But she's starting to get cataracts in her eyes, so sight is not quite there anymore. I also
Mhm.
trim her bangs back so she can technically see.
Mhm.
So we're making a lot of adjustments to make sure she can still get as much sense as possible. So yeah, we have treats, and oh boy, does little guy love giving the dogs treats.
Mhm.
So,
That's wonderful. And just
yeah.
understand too, I think Monica, I want you to weigh in on this too, but as we age and our senses start changing, I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to be 69 this year. Monica, I think she's younger than that, but anyway.
It's
But
like 25, I thought.
yeah, well, yeah, maybe
Yeah.
25
I'm
would be
legal.
good for Monica. You're legal? Hey.
7 different galaxies.
But as we age, we're kind of starting, the eyes don't see as well anymore, we don't hear as well anymore.
Right.
And so if you think about how you feel, you're a little more uncomfortable, right? It's like, especially if you're in a situation where, like, if you're traveling out of town, you don't feel, you're in a home, so you don't feel maybe as safe. So it's like that when animals age too. And if they get startled, they become afraid.
Right.
And if they become afraid, that's more often than not why older dogs bite.
Mhm.
And if I can butt in here, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, it's your
That
floor.
goes,
Go.
that goes when you said with the biters, that goes with the sundown syndrome, the downer,
Oh,
the
yeah.
sundowners. And it happens to people who may have dementia, and it happens in dogs who don't. And certainly this little fuzzy head right there,
Yeah, we keep seeing him moving around.
Yeah.
that fuzzy head right there experiences that. So by 7 o'clock right now, or whatever time it starts, the sun's going down, he starts growling at the boys for no reason. There's no food involved because he is a food protector when it comes to his food. But sundown syndrome, it's absolutely there. So I have to sometimes give him a chill pill, half a chill pill, just to bring him down a notch.
Yeah.
But again, that's something that if you have an animal, a dog or a cat that is aging, that's something to really think about as they get older. Smell, for one thing, if you have an older animal that starts not wanting to eat a lot. And first of all, if a client calls me with that, it's like, have you been to the vet? That is always my number one. Have you had your animal to the vet? If you haven't, you need to do that like right away, especially if it's a cat, because cats can go down really quickly. So, and engage the senses that are there. So Monica was talking about smell. All right. So if the ears are going and the eyes are starting to go, make the food have a lot more aroma to it. We had a basset hound years ago, Maggie No Tail. Somebody had docked, she had an accident, her tail got docked, but most cheerful, wonderful, joyful dog you ever want to meet, who had kidney disease. Okay. And so they're nauseated with that disease. They can be nauseated a lot of the time. And I joined a support group of people who had dogs in that similar situation. I learned a tremendous amount from those people. We all talked like, what's working with yours and what's working. So it's really a supportive thing, but also trading ideas about how do we get these dogs to eat. And that was the key, was make it as smelly as you can. People were using tripe and all kinds of stuff to get the smell engaged.
Mm-hmm.
So the dog would eat, even though they might feel nauseated a little bit. They got the dog to eat, and that worked with our dog for a while until things just shut down. But but I learned a lot from that, and you can learn a lot, I think, from connecting with people whose pet might have a similar situation to yours, or a group of people, or even if you don't. Like we just adopted a greyhound. We've had one other greyhound many years ago, and she was an older dog. This guy is 2.5. He's off the track. He's a baby, 70-some plus pound baby.
No.
And so it's like, what is his world about? Right? He comes off the track, he goes to a foster home for a month, and then he's here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? What's his world about? Does he even understand what he knows to be in a crate, because that's what they do at the track? They're in a crate, or they're out in the yard doing pee and poop and running around, or they're out on the track being trained. Mm-hmm. So, what was his world like? How do we make the bridges for him and give him what he needs? And Monica was talking about the kind of dogs she has. I mean, we have 3 different kinds, plus a cat. And so who they leave alone. And I would too. But, in having a greyhound, they're very different, and understanding that what he needs more than anything else is to run. Mm-hmm. We have a really small yard. So finding places for him to go to run, dog park, finding other dogs for him to play with, maybe doggy daycare. We're also the Greyhound rescue group that we adopted him from. I'm in touch with people on that group on Facebook. It's like, let's get a play day. What about Voice of America Park? Let's, and let's get our dogs together and let them run, because that's what makes them happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That and laying on his bed and sleeping. Those are 2 things. Anyway, I didn't mean to get long-winded, but the point of this is understanding what type of dog you have, or a cat. And a cat is not like a dog, not just in the looks, but the motivation. And understanding that and trying to help them feel comfortable in your home.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we have a bunch of listeners that have questions about their pets. And so do you want to read them, Kat? And I'll bring the pictures on. So our first is from Chad. So you want to?
Yeah, sure.
And I'll share screen and show his adorable dog.
Okay. So this. Okay. Oop.
Can you all see him?
I can, but I need to minimize the view so I can read my.
Hey, sweetie, look at that.
So I can read the questions. So there we go. Yeah, this is from Chad. We got our pup Humphrey almost 2 years ago from the Humane Society. They have no info on what his story was. They got him from a surrender shelter in Kentucky. He has scarred over puncture wounds on his legs and chunks missing out of his ears. Oh, poor guy. We have always just kind of wondered what happened to him and what he has been through. He is so gentle and such a sweet soul. Can't imagine who could ever abuse or neglect such an amazing pup.
Go ahead, Monica. I'll chime in when.
Okay. Well, I was looking at him from the bottom up, but I did see the chewed ears. And he's lost some fur that's been pulled on. He could have been a bait dog, and the puncture wounds, and that's a holy terror. Or he could have been used in dog fighting. I mean, but dog fighting, that's just terrible. He's stately. He's ready to forget that other side of him, and he's already made the transition into, this is great. But he may still have like dreams. I don't know, Cindy, do you suppose he could still have terror dreams of?
I think dogs can have PTSD.
Yeah.
Horses can, certainly cats can, dogs can. And yeah, I think it's quite possible. He is extremely sweet dog. Sweet, he's very gentle. And what I've been kind of sending him, Monica, as you've been talking with him and connecting with him, is then and now is now.
Mm-hmm.
And the people have to remember that too. I think sometimes we get involved in their stories because we're so outraged or so angry that people could treat an animal like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, we get wound up about it. So our emotions are going and we're seeing those pictures in our head. They can read them. Right. So then is then, now is now, I think is really important for this guy to know. And he's in a loving home. And he's just, Monica, I agree with you. He's extremely gentle.
He is. He's very
gentle
happy.
and sweet.
And
The thing I wanted, go
astounded.
ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Good. I was going to ask him about it. Are the puncture wounds on his legs, or where are they?
Does it say on the?
Yeah, I'm looking. He has scarred over puncture wounds on his legs and chunks missing out of his ears.
Okay. Well, the ears I can kind of, it makes some sense. So I wanted to ask him about his legs, if you don't mind. I just kind of like to know how. Yeah, hi, buddy. Yeah, you are a sweetie. Can you tell me? Do you have any discomfort in your legs? Is anything bothering, or your legs bothering you in any way? Okay. And you do understand then is then? He says, no, not really. Do you do understand then is then, now is now, right? His response to that was, they love me. He's learning what love is. That's what his family is teaching him, is what human being dog relationships are really supposed to be about. He was an object.
Oh,
okay. He was an object. He was a thing that was used to train other dogs. I think Monica's right on that too. And so, and often in rural areas, animals are thought of as property or things and not thinking, living, feeling beings. I see it a lot in the horse world too. So he is just a gentle giant. He is so sweet. He is so kind. And he's beginning to really understand that he's home. And I think that they'll see another shift with him when that really sinks all the way into the bone marrow with him. He's almost there, I think. Monica, what do you think? Did you get a sense about that?
He's going to make a transition in about 4 or 5 months. Mm-hmm. And then again in another 3, because he's fitting in, he's trying to figure out this new world, but he's telling me that I'm getting the fact that he's comfortable here, but he doesn't know if it's going to last. And you have to tell him, Cindy, that it's forever home. But his health wise, he's a very strong heart. I thought that maybe they should start his hips, since he's such a big dog, his hips are a little achy. And maybe some preventative glucosamine or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of good products out now. We have all 3 of ours on, and the horses are on their version of it. But even the young dog, I think just putting good quality building blocks for joint fluid back in, especially for a dog like this that has unfortunately, I think, been yanked around a bit, literally. And, so his joints have been stretched in ways that they weren't intended to go. Doing it now is, getting a good, and talking to the vet about a good support supplement for his joints would be a great idea. Help this guy, get the joints better.
I'm looking at his ear, and it feels like it's a little inflamed on that right ear that I can see, and I'm wondering if they could have that looked at, or just maybe washed with some soap and water and then Neosporin. But he's very furry. He looks like he enjoys being groomed and getting undercoat out. And he's very calm. He's very calm.
And I think the family he's with, if you are there children in the home?
No.
Okay.
It's a younger
So,
couple.
Okay. And so one of the piece of feedback I'd like to give them is if they can think about putting love into their hands and just gently petting him. And if they're brushing him, put love into their hands. He's getting there. There's that little, I agree with Monica, there's that bit of, is it real?
Mm-hmm.
Is this really real?
Mm-hmm.
And is this the way it's supposed to be with people? So he's trying really hard. And I think every animal's different, but he will get to a place where that, as I said, the light bulb will go off and they'll see him shift the rest of the way and just really relax. He's a really neat dog and they've done a wonderful thing in bringing him home. He deserves every bit of it.
He's got a hassock. I think he's going to make a move for a bed.
All right, that's really great insight. All right, let's go to the next one.
That is. I see a lot of puppy cuddles, which are when they lean into you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this Vanessa.
And Monica probably recognizes these kitties. These are Otis and Bubo.
Yes.
I think actually this is the one to the left is Otis and the one to the right is Bubo. And I think Vanessa would like you to talk to them. She was going to be here, but she just did the big ink today, so she's tired. But these cats, and part of this, her husband feeds them 4 or 5 times a night. So when he when he goes out of town, then they expect to be fed 4 or 5 times a night. And I think she wants to know how she can get their behavior so that they'll let them sleep at night. Although I don't know if they'll ever change the behavior unless George changes his behavior.
I was going to say, you have to train the husband first and the cats will follow.
Either that, or you're going to have to get some feeding trays that are alarmed and that will open at a certain
slow feeders.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Self feeders. So that way they both can have their own at a certain time, at the same time.
That's a great idea because that could also help reset that schedule and get it to a lesser frequency. The hard part about that is he's feeding him at night. I believe cats are nocturnal. They adapt and wake up during the day for us just because people aren't generally. And so, they try to stay awake during the day so they can eat and interact with their people. But by nature, they're nocturnal, I think. So,
sure.
If they could use that kind of solution, which I think is brilliant, to kind of start training them down from the less frequency, and maybe start then shifting that up to more into the daytime. My experience with cats is limited. I didn't have them when I was a child. I've had a lot, a good number of them since I've been an adult. And what I've learned about them is you can influence them into eating at certain times. I think by nature they're grazers, and I don't know, Monica, what you think, but I know
I've
Sophia.
always had cats that are grazers, and they like that better. But they were not obese. They kind of paced themselves. I don't know if the reason that he's feeding them 4 and 5 times a night is because one is sick, has issues.
One does have issues. Yeah. One has some certain,
Otis has issues.
Yeah. I think you're right. One of, and I could text Vanessa and ask her, but yeah, one of them can only eat canned food because a lot of dry food is bad for cats anyway.
Especially male cats. Yeah.
It gives him kidney problems too.
Yes.
Yeah, because I've been raising Conan to eat a lot. He likes dry food, but we actually give him a lot of meat. Like when we make meat, like if I make like pulled pork, or if I make whatever, I give him some of our meat, and I've done that since he was a kitten, and they love it. Lately we got an air fryer and we've been making chicken wings, and it saves all the drippings at the bottom, and I don't put any spices on or anything, and I save that to put on their food every day. They
awesome. I bet they love that.
They're pretty spoiled.
I don't know how Otis would take to that if he's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Strikes
I
me as
think
being like almost gluten-free kind of cat, one of those, can't eat that stuff. And I mean, when you think about it, some cat foods are, you've
Most
got to
cat,
have to,
yeah.
to keep it together.
Hey, Monica, do you have a pendulum handy? Because I don't know where mine is. Can you?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I-
thinking check their chakras on the one that maybe that's not feeling as well. Cats are really touchy.
Yeah, our cat
So-
Biffy is allergic to almost all vegetables.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what the vet would have to say about how the one cat that's a little more sensitive, maybe that cat needs to be fed a little differently, or
Mhm.
and then you've got two cats, and then how do you do that? And that you can get into all kinds of contortions with, that. But I think understanding what the issue might be first from a medical perspective, and then once you understand that, also then again getting out, use the power of the internet, get out there and find some folks that maybe have cats with the same type of thing, and get some suggestions, because I think that cats are hard anyway. If something's going on and they don't, they have trouble eating. They also change very quickly. So I think getting the medical input, and then getting in community with some people who maybe have cats with something that's similar, and seeing what they've had success with. But again, with cats are very strongly, I believe, very strongly motivated by smell. So make it stinky, man. You get the strongest can of tuna you can find. You know what I'm saying? We have an elderly cat, like I said, and she's not felt by any stretch. She never has been. She's short and pudgy, and she weighs about 13 pounds, right? So weight's always been an issue with her. Not with these cats, it doesn't look like, but with her it has. And so she's been ill recently, and that's what we did, is we actually introduced more smell, as well as a little bit of tuna.
A little bit of tuna is good. I've always limited tuna,
but she doesn't have any GI issues. So yeah.
This cat is GI. Is it GI issue? Yeah.
Yes.
Is GI.
That's what I was thinking.
My pendulum says GI issues, and that it's satisfied with its meals, likes its meals, not too smelly, thank you very much. And it's going back and forth. No, we don't like it. Are you in any pain? Some pain, but that's with the stomach, I would think, huh? Yeah. So perhaps this is almost GERD, like GERD. Would this be GERD? Where you're, yes, this would be like reflux, acid reflux. And maybe that would be something to talk about the vet with. If a cat can be treated for that, it might, if it was treated with like I don't know if they could be treated with Prilosec, but something like that, similar with animals, that would just bring down that heartburn type feeling, so the cat's more comfortable. But as it is, he's okay with his life as it is.
And I think what Monica just did is what we can do in situations where there are potentially medical issues, is ask the cat. Basically, she was using a pendulum, which is a tool to get the yes/no answers, and she was asking the cat questions, and based on that, she was able to say, well, maybe think about having this conversation with the vet, and maybe look at some of this. So she's doing that based on the answers that the cat was giving you, right?
Yes.
I wanted to point out that that's something that for animal communicators is a little bit of a touchy ground, because we aren't vets, and Monica and I, and Terri, my wife, she's also a communicator. We are really careful. We want to know what the animal feels. How are you feeling? Tell me what's bothering you, right? And GI tract. Okay, yeah, it's exactly what you did, Monica. You said GI tract, and we're talking a little bit more about that. So, our job, I think, is to do what Monica just did. How are you feeling in your body? Where is it? Where are you getting the feedback from? What would, and you asked about food a little bit, I think. So that's what we do. I think we help the humans understand from the cat's perspective, or dog or horse or whatever, what they're feeling. We're not giving you a diagnosis. We're saying, what are you feeling? And then you get to dance around that with your veterinarian, because it's interesting. I don't know, Monica, how you handle that with clients, but generally I say, do not walk into your vet's office and say, well, my animal communicator said, because, that puts us in a really precarious position legally.
It's like giving medical advice. We're not going to do that.
Yeah. And our job is to do exactly what you did, Monica, which is, how are you feeling? What's going on with what you're feeling? We could go on for a half an hour with, like, what do you feel before you eat? What do you feel while you're eating? What do you feel after you eat? When is it, when are you the most uncomfortable? Because that also gives you some information. We could do a half an hour reading with one cat.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I'll have to tell her, because my vet actually did prescribe an antacid for my cat Miffy. So maybe that's something that the vet could give to her cat as well.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Next, this is a weird one. Do you want to read this, Kat?
Yeah,
I don't want to say weird, but let me go to the picture.
It's a unique case. Yes. But I will say, Wheatley used to take Prilosec.
Yeah. This is the beta. Oh,
yeah, this is a beta fish. So this is from Pet Ann.
This is
beautiful
in mud pits, and and it's so difficult, their life, and this one doesn't look very happy either.
Well, let me read the question. This is from Pet Ann. My male beta is in my 90-gallon tank and was always friends with my female swordtail fish, Mitzi. She just died and he will not leave her side. Should I get him a new companion? So he looks a bit rough because he's a bit glum.
He is glum. Okay. Well, let's see. I'm going to try my yes, no here and see what goes on.
And I'll do some things in the background of my head here. So Monica, I'll take turns, kind of. I'll back off from now.
You know the name of the fish?
Yes.
Not the male. Or do you, Christina?
I think I forgot. While you're thinking, let me look back at my notes, because she did say what the name of it was, and I thought I'd pasted it in, but maybe I didn't. It was hard pasting all the stuff in here.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me look.
He looks like a Ben. I don't know why. He just does.
Let's see.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, she was afraid to take it out of the tank because it won't leave it.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, that would be very, yeah.
Oh, his name is Meatball.
Oh, Meatball.
Okay, Meatball. Hi, Monica. I know you're sad. Oh, we're very sad. Would it be all right if she took your friend's body and gave it a nice burial? Is this something you'd agree to? Yes. Would you be interested in a new tank mate? It won't be like your friend, but it would be someone else you might like to meet. He's very strongly for that. It's going wag, 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 and I'll move it. I'm going to move it right here. Okay, Meatball. Let's see if I can. There we go. Would you like to tell me if you'd like a new friend? Okay, right now it's going north and south. So that's a yes. Tell her yes, he'd like a new friend. And he's very sad about this one. But you understand we have to take the fish out. Okay. Okay, I will let them know. Yes, I'm sorry for your sadness. throw some love to Meatball. Talk to Meatball. Meatball needs love. And if you want to put a flower or two over there, I wouldn't object to that. Treat it as a mourning period for this poor fish. Go the extent of placing some flowers in front of it, and you can bury his friend. But he does want another friend. He's very lonely.
Oh,
did you get any?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was using the opportunity to just kind of feel into how he feels. I think you got it really well. I just want to ask him a question. Do you understand that your friend's spirit is no longer in that body? Do you understand that? The body's not going to move on its own anymore. Was the other fish a female?
yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask him. It's really interesting to talk to non-mammals for me, because they're very experiential. At least my when I speak with them, they do this in a little bit of a different way. Monica was using a tool called a pendulum to get the yes no's clear. Okay. But they're very integrated with their environment. Okay. So first of all, being very thoughtful and asking him if it was all right for her body to be removed if he was ready. Monica, I think, was really a good thing to do. But I want him to understand that her spirit is always with him. They were friends. They were together, and that he may have a new friend coming, and a new fish to develop a relationship with, just like he did with her. And that her spirit is still all around that tank with him.
Oh.
Do you feel him? Do you feel her around? He says he's talking about that he didn't understand this. So, he's talking about seeing flashes of light, that it would like a real quick little dart of light, not an orb, not an orb where they, oftentimes you'll see spirits come in with their like lights floating around on top, corner of the room.
Yeah, you can get sparkly.
Yeah, and all that stuff. But in this case, it's more of kind of like she's just doing little, like almost like lightning flashes. So he knows she's still with him. He just wants and needs for comfort another physical presence. I'm not sure how you select fish based on temperament. The only experience I've had with that was, besides goldfish, Oscar. You know what Oscars are? They're real big.
Yeah. I've heard they're pretty aggressive hunters.
Oh, I'm not suggesting you put an Oscar in this tank by any stretch. But I learned a lot about fish from an Oscar that when I was a high school teacher a long time ago. One of my students brought in this huge Oscar, and we had him in a tank, in the biology lab, so, and he would interact with 36 to 38 screaming teenage girls 4 times a day, right? And he would make eye contact. So fish, we don't always think of fish as being real sentient and real wanting to connect with us, but they do. It's not just food. They're a different experience. They don't, reptiles also. If we had a lot of time, I'd tell you an iguana story. But anyway.
Next show for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. But anyway, long story short, yes, he would like a companion, I think, and be very respectful when you take the body of his friend out, and prepare him. Just kind of show him, if you go and pick out a fish, you have it in mind, just show him in your head, send him a picture and say, this is who's going to come and live with you.
Or take a picture and hold it up to the
You could do
tank.
that too. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Let them see it, and then mentally suggest, is this a good fit?
Okay, great.
And trust your gut. And trust your gut.
And she listens to the show every week, so I know she's going to love this advice. Okay. Next is Mindy, and she has 3 cats here, and I'm going to show, but she talks mostly about 2 of them. So this is her cat Luke, and this is her cat Leia, and this is her cat Sheldon. Kat, if you want to read about what she says about her cats.
Okay, so Mindy asks, why is my cat Leia so jealous of my cat Sheldon? I can't even look at Sheldon without Leia barging in. No matter what I do, she bullies him too.
Okay, let me start with her if you don't mind, Monica. Is that right?
Go right ahead.
Okay, so is this Leia that I'm looking at?
Yeah, this is Leia.
The first thing that comes to mind is Princess Leia from Star Wars, of course.
Yes. They seem to be named after pop culture.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to say hello to her. Hi. Hello, sweetheart. And I talk out loud, just basically.
No, it's great.
Yeah. So hi. Hello, sweetie. You know what? You are really a beautiful little. I think you're a tiger. Yes, you are. You're very beautiful. She says this is a very curious cat. She's very curious. She's very smart. And what is the other cat's name that they're having a problem with her with?
Sheldon. This is Sheldon.
Okay, Sheldon is the black cat. Okay, he's the black cat. Did she come into the home, just as a side? Do you know if she came into the home before or after he did?
Let me think. Let me double check.
It's not, doesn't matter, but sometimes that does make a difference.
Okay, I get the feeling that Sheldon came in more recently.
Yeah, I think Sheldon did. I'm just double checking.
Okay. It's okay. Can you put her picture back up there for me, please?
Yeah. Here, I'll move it back.
Thank you. I'm a little more visual, so I need to.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, there she is. All right. So yeah, what do you think about your brother Sheldon? What do you think about? Ooh, really? She's like, not my brother. Okay. All right. Well, sweetie pie, do you know that he lives in your house now? You and he and the other cat will all live together. She says, well, she is truly a princess. Okay. So she very much would like to have and feels that she should have more of the attention. She should be fed first and et cetera, so the list can go on. She does not necessarily like sharing a litter box with Sheldon either. So we'll speak to the humans about that. Okay. So can you tell me why Sheldon bothers you so much? A couple things. One is, first of all, Sheldon does not know how to regulate his energy field very well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of sporadic. It's kind of, I use the term spiky a little bit. It'd be interesting, Monica, if you check in and see if you get that, if you get what the impression you get of the energy field, because I don't want to lead the witness here. But she has trouble with his energy field, and she has trouble with, she says he doesn't respect her bubble. Okay, she doesn't respect that she needs her space at times, and he just doesn't have a clue. Okay, if he wants to do something, he's gonna go do it. If she's in the path, so be it. He'll get distracted and try to engage her, and if she does, and whacks at him. He's like, oh, really? Okay, fine. And he'll go off. Occasionally he misreads that signal as play, which is not. So he has a little trouble, I think, with the language, the body language. So Leia, what I would suggest, sweetie. Yeah. By the way, are you feeling okay in your body? Just to make sure. Is there anything we need to tell mom? Is there anything we need to tell mom about? I'm going to be quiet for a minute. What I'm doing is letting her, if she wants to show me in my body, she can do that. Okay. 2 things. One is she does have a little bit of a touchy stomach, so careful with what is fed when. The other, she's taking my attention, my mind's eye, if you will, to my lower back. And I'm making sure it's her because I went to Pilates this morning. But that's a very good point when you work with animal communicators is we have to be, if we ask how you're feeling in your body, or Monica phrases it a different way, but it's kind of the same thing. You got to do a check of yourself first. So when I'm getting lower back, I'm going, okay, was that the reformer this morning or is it the cat? Right. She's having a little trouble. And again, I'm not sure how old she is, but around the hip area and in front of the hips, in the back, she's starting to get a little stiff. Okay. So, and Monica, and I want to thank her for telling me that all very quickly. She did very well. She's a very smart little girl. What I would tell you, Leah, is if you feel his energy coming and it feels spiky to you, go the other way. Get up high, get higher than him. Okay, get higher than him, because I think you'll feel a little better if you do that. And I know you shouldn't have to move. She's like, well, I shouldn't have to move. I know. I understand that. And you don't like how it feels when he's not being respectful and he's not being mindful of your energy field either. So my suggestion right now, because I don't think he knows any better, maybe Monica will explain it to him. I don't know. But, the best thing to do, sweetheart, is get the heck out of the way and get up high, away from him. And when he walks by, he's going to be totally oblivious of what's going on behind him. Then you can get down, get back down and do what you want to do. Okay. But just don't get, he doesn't know how to regulate his energy, I don't think. And that's what's bothering her a lot. Thank you, sweetie. You did very well. And Aunt Monica might want to talk to you. I don't know.
Well, she says yes to the back, but she says that, yes, it's his energy. And I just did a mental scan of his energy, and he's got a lot of energy. So it might behoove the owner to spend extra quality time with Leia. And she says yes to that. Thank you very much. Big yes. It's swinging yes. And that maybe a treat or two might be good before owner goes to play and gives some quality time to Sheldon. Yes. Yes, she says. And Sheldon might learn that he gets his quality time and shares owner, and he has to learn his place. She
has to come first, I think, if you're going to feed. She gets fed before he does. That's a very subtle, don't you think, Micah? It's like little things like that work.
Right.
Because it's a very subtle message.
Right. Because they're in charge. Yeah. They were there first, therefore they get fed first, and Sheldon gets fed last. Yes. Yes, I'm hearing yes.
Gotta have respect.
RESPECT, definitely. They should have called her
Aretha. Aretha.
Do you like red? Yes, she does. Yes, red, please. Well, it would go great with her coat.
Yeah. Monica, energy field wise, with her or with cats in general, do you want to talk about that a little bit? Or I can't, it doesn't matter, but how cat energy fields can get really huge? And
they're very large. Yeah. I mean, humans can throw out energy. And once again, I refer to Star Wars in this case, because, you talk about energy, and you see Obi-Wan putting out his hand and throwing a guy who's 10 feet away, 40 feet beyond that, but that's what it is with cats. And cats have that. When she said spiky energy, that's what it is. It comes, it goes in waves. And that's why you get that killer instinct and then that beautiful, oh, I'm fine. Everything's great again. And they've got that Frankenstein, that what is it? Jekyll and Hyde kind of.
Jekyll and Hyde, yeah. They change really quickly.
They change fast because it depends on the moment, because they've got to be on their toes to protect themselves or grab dinner. And it happens fast, and they have to react fast. And so that's the energy level. Her energy level, though, right now, maybe it's the picture, but it's very calm. It was very calm before Sheldon. And she's a little out of whack because Sheldon's throwing some major hi, I'm the new kid on the block. Love me, love my energy. But she's definitely out of whack. But if you get Sheldon played with and put him in a brown bag, let him beat his way out, we're just wear the energy down to where it's a little more
manageable.
And I think an owner, don't you think you can feel your pet's energy, even if you're not a medium? I feel you know that your animal is hot or cold about something, is feeling well or not, that instinctively, and that's your ESP coming out. So I think the owner can do that too, can sit and meditate, can sit and talk quietly to her and to Sheldon and explain the situation.
But they have to put up with each other.
They do.
Well, they do. And, I do. Yeah, they do. One side note, cats together either work or you have to manage it. Yes. And, but what I wanted to point out about cats, and this is something that I learned when I lived on our farm with the horses, is we had at one time 6 cats. 2 or 3 were indoor. They learned to use the dog door, so they would go in and out. And then we had actually, so it was 4 of them. 3 of them that did that. We had 2 in the barn with the horses, and that the one we have left is one of those cats. And then we had Frank that used to come and visit, and they would have cat meetings. But the thing that the cats, I'm serious. I think Terry's got a picture of the 6 of them sitting in the driveway.
Oh, I can picture it. They do. Yeah.
In a circle. In a circle. And Frank wasn't with us very long, but he was an amazing calming energy and an integrative energy, because that didn't happen until he showed up. But what I wanted to say is to talk about energy for a minute with cats, because they really can extend their energy out, their energy bubble out, farther than you would even imagine. The example I can give you is when we had those cats on our 3.5 acres, right? We didn't have any stray cats. Frank came in, everybody settled. We had the barn cats, we had the in and out cats, and we had Frank, that hung outside. And those cats set up an energetic bubble around that property. We didn't have stray cats, or dogs for that matter, but we didn't have any stray cats. When the majority of that cat population passed, is when the first basset hound walked down the driveway.
Oh, wow.
It's not this bow, but the first bow. Yeah. Somebody dumped this beautiful dog.
Aww.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's when, and then we started getting, other cat. So we started having animals showing up, but the cats can really energetically expand their energy fields. And one thing I do, if I do a house call and there's cats, first of all, I prefer not to do that, because I think it's harder on the cats for me to come into their space. But if I do, I'm out in my truck in the driveway and I'm talking to them out there.
Oh, interesting.
Saying, all right, y'all, this is who I am. This is why I'm coming into your space. I know I'm already here. And this is why, your people have asked me to come and have a conversation. And if you want to stay up on the 2nd floor, we can still have that conversation. You don't have to come down if you don't want to. Right? Because so I find cats fascinating in that way, that they can really regulate their energy. And in doing healing touch work, when I would do some energetic work with cats, man, you really, you have kind of like what they teach us is you have kind of a rheostat in your palms that the energy moves through. And, because I'm also, healing touch for animals practitioner. That was one of the things that they drilled into us in that program is with cats, you really have to turn that rheostat down until you've had a very, very small band of energy, because cats are their energy is so big.
And that's why I suggest that the owner attend to the younger cat, Sheldon. I'm assuming is the younger cat.
Yeah.
And wear him down, but with the permission of the princess.
Yes, you want to get her
Exactly.
permission. So we've got 3 more. What do you think, Kat? Do we have time to do all 3? We're kind of getting over.
We'll have to keep our responses short.
Oh,
I'm
sorry. Yeah.
I accidentally muted myself.
Do you want to just?
I think we've done it's been an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
And I think we can just bookmark this one and have you on in the future
Love
to go
to.
through with the rest of
This
these.
is fun.
Yeah, we've
It's fun doing this
got
with
several
Monica.
others, and I know like Katie was next. I don't know if we want to do Katie's really fast and then do the other 2.
I think we can wait. I think until. Sorry.
Would you all be? Would you all be on into coming like maybe in a month or so, and we'll go through the rest?
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, because I'm sure once people hear this, we'll probably get more too. I just feel like we're hitting an hour and a half. So
yeah,
I don't want to.
I'm
wear
just thinking
out.
about you editing this. I'm like, you already have to put 2 different streams together, and now it's an hour and a half. So I think this is a good place for us to stop for the night, and then we will just pick up this conversation in a month.
Yeah, and this is so interesting. Thank you so much, Cindy and Monica. I mean, I love hearing your insight because it makes us think. I mean, not only has Kat got a new dog, but Jen just got a new cat, so she's been integrating a new cat household.
Yeah,
and so
that is very difficult to do.
They tolerate each other. Today, I had one sitting on my recliner with me, and she was unaware of the older cat sitting on the table in front of me. And the older cat leaned over and looked at the younger cat, and the younger cat was like, and then ran off. And the older cat's just like, okay,
whatever. Yeah. On a side note for you, I have a person I work with in Indianapolis. She's been a client of mine for over 20 years, but she is my cat expert. She knows more about cats than anybody I've ever met in my life, and has a vet tech background as well. So she's got some. Anyway, you have something to consider is maybe if you want to come back to an animal theme thing down the road sometime, to bring somebody like her in too, because she was a radio personality in Indy.
Ooh.
So she's very articulate and she knows, like I said, more. That's who I go to. If I have a client that is having a really difficult cat situation, I can talk to the cats, right? We can have conversation. But if there's certain behavioral things going on, like the common ones are peeing and pooping outside a litter box. And, that's the most common one. I know, sweetheart. Mommy will be done in a minute. And so, she's a person that I will call and consult with, and we trade. So, I get some information from my client about the cats from a behavioral perspective, and she gets free reading for her 6, right? So it works out well. We trade.
Yeah.
But someone like that really has a good depth of knowledge from a lot of dimensions about a type of house pet might be something future down the road that's different than what we do. But it goes together really well.
Yeah.
That would be
too.
I mean,
thank you.
We also want to hear some of your medium school stories. So maybe
Yes.
in that show we do in a month.
Well,
We want to hear.
compile a
We
small
heard
book,
that you
okay?
got you had told us last time you kind of got in trouble. So we want to hear that story.
You kind of do the we see dead people.
Don't give them all the good stuff yet.
Yeah.
No, this
that's
is just a
joke.
teaser for the next episode that we have you all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd love to do that too. That'd be fun.
Yes. Thank you for being on and rescheduling from
No problem.
2 weeks ago, which turned out to be eventful. So with that, everyone, thank you for joining us for another wonderful Cincinnati Cabinet of Curiosities, the Hometown Haunts podcast. I am your host, Kat Klogo, and along with me are Christina Wald and Jen Poehler. You can keep up with us at Cincy Cabinet of Curiosities on Instagram, at Cin Cabinet Curio on Twitter, and please send us your hometown haunts at hometownhauntedmail@gmail.com and join us at the Hometown Haunts Facebook group. For everyone,